Hi, it's the Irish Gypsy here to do your January 2016 readings. I continue to use the Gilded Tarot deck, drawing 8 cards for the month, 2 cards for each week, with an additional card as your overall theme and advice for the month. These are general readings, so if they don't resonate with you, I suggest you check your rising and your moon sign as well. A special thank you to those of you who have been keeping me so busy with personal readings. It's been an honor to be allowed to read for you. Thank you so much for that. And thank you to all of you who continue to watch and listen and subscribe to my channel. Your feedback and your comments have been very refreshing and most welcome. Thank you. I will be running specials for the month of January. I try to run one special for each month. For the month of January, it will be personal readings for $1 a minute. I do readings beginning at 30 minutes and going all the way up to 90 minutes. For those of you who are watching this as I post it, still in the end of December, the December specials will still be holding until January 1st, and those are $25 for a half an hour, $40 for 45 minutes, and $50 for an hour. So let's get started with your reading. This is for Cancer for the month of January 2016. What does the first month of this new year hold for my Cancerians? Cancer the Crab, January 2016. I do shuffle the cards thoroughly before each and every reading, but as I usually say, I like to go through a last little bit of a shuffle with you as we're actually recording. So Cancer, January 2016. Okay. For the first week, we have the Eight of Swords, followed by the Knight of Wands. For the second week, we have the Ten of Cups, followed by the Nine of Pentacles. For the third week, we have the Hierophant, followed by the Queen of Pentacles. For the fourth week, we have the Ace of Cups reversed with the Two of Wands. And as your overall theme or general feeling of the month, we pull a card from the bottom of the deck, and we have the Lovers. Interesting. So let's see, Cancer. I feel like there's a few different things going here, so I think this reading is going to resonate differently for different groups of Cancerians out there. We begin with the Eight of Swords, followed by the Knight of Wands. Now the Eight of Swords, the element of swords being air, and swords is a suit that represents our mind, our thoughts, our ways of thinking, our reasoning, logic, intellect. The Eight of Swords I look at as kind of a mental bondage card. It shows a woman who is in the middle of a ring of swords, literally being held hostage by swords. These swords representing our thoughts, her thoughts. She is blindfolded and there is a chain wrapped around her wrist, but if you look closely, that chain could easily be removed by her twisting her wrists, and she could remove the blindfold herself. And this is a card I look at as primarily being held hostage by our own thoughts. It seems like there's something either at the end of December or going into the month of January. Something's going on in your mind. I kind of get the feeling of circular thinking, which I often get with this card. There's something that you're focused on that has you blocked or preventing you from doing something. I feel like it's preventing you from taking some kind of opportunity of some kind. This is a card of almost, yeah, it's a card of being held hostage by your own thoughts. There's something going on in your mind, which is, I get the feeling of being blocked, of an opportunity not being taken somehow. Now it's paired with the Knight of Wands. The Eight of Swords, I might also add, is a card of inaction in a situation where you feel like you're being propelled or compelled somehow to take action or make a decision about something. And it also implies that there's a certain amount of complicity in this card, of compliance in this card, of you're being stymied or held hostage by your own thoughts in a manner that you are actually allowing it to continue in some way. There's also plenty of gaps between these swords for her to step out of this circular way of thinking. Now it's paired with the Knight of Wands, which is a card that speaks to the opposite of the Eight of Swords. The Knight of Wands, wands, the element being fire and air, and wands is a suit that represent change, movement, action, power, which is in direct contradiction to the Eight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords is an individual. Knights are the bringers of the zodiac. They are the bringers of the tarot. When you think about the function of knights in the medieval world, they were the ones that were sent out on missions and quests to either accomplish something or bring back, or sent out to search for something and bring something back. They often tended to be very determined, very honorable, very single-minded, and very focused in what they went after. And the Knight of Wands, due to the suit of Wands itself being a passionate, fiery suit, there's a lot of fire and warmth and color in this card, but this knight holds it quite well harnessed as well. This is a card that I believe, particularly paired with the Eight of Swords, the Eight of Swords being pretty much at being stymied. I have a feeling of being blocked and of an opportunity being presented and not being taken. It's a card of inaction. It's a card of being held hostage in a sense of inactivity by something, by some kind of thought process that's going on in your mind. And the Knight of Wands, I believe, is a call to action. The Knight of Wands is saying that the heat and the passion and the fire is tempered, but he's harnessed it and he's going to make it work for him. He's going to use it to propel himself forward. The Knight of Wands is someone who, once he makes a decision about what he wants, he goes after it and gets it. And I think paired with the Eight of Swords, whatever it is that you're going into January with, um, something, again, of being held hostage by some kind of thought pattern. The Knight of Wands is calling you to make a decision about something and actually lay whatever thought process or whatever ways of thinking this is to bed and take action on this thing that has you stymied or blocked in some way. I feel like it's a call to action. Now, for some of you, this Knight of Wands is going to represent an actual person that helps you free yourself from this thought pattern that's keeping you bound up and almost imprisoned. That woman is kind of held prison by her thoughts, held hostage by her thoughts. And for some of you, this is going to be either a fire sign person, which would be Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, or it's going to be somebody who manifests these traits, who's going to help you in some way free yourself from this thought process of keeping you from moving forward in something. So that's interesting. Now, in the second week, we have the Ten of Cups, a beautiful card, the card I like to call the Happy Home card, paired with the Nine of Pentacles. Now, I think along with some of the other groupings of this card, it's just going to mean different things to different people out there. It's a general reading after all. Ten of Cups, cups the element being that of water, and cups is a suit that represent our emotions. It's the emotional suit of tarot. It can point to relationships, love, how we relate to other people, what our interpersonal relationships are like, and our emotional atmosphere. The Ten of Cups is a very beautiful card to have. It shows cozy, lovely little cottage in the background with two women in the front. They're sewing. It's a beautiful day. There's a cat in the grass, and there's a beautiful rainbow of cups above it. Tens are also meaning the culmination of something, the wrapping up of something, the end of a cycle. And this card points to being in a place where you feel very satisfied and very completed and very abundant. It speaks to being in a situation or just being in a place in your life where you have whatever it is that you've had to sacrifice or work hard for to reach this place. It feels as if you are in a place where you're feeling happy and satisfied and content. This is also representing literally the home life. So it looks like wherever you're at in December, in January, Cancer, somewhere in the first half of the month, you find yourself in a place, perhaps after this freeing of your mental thoughts, where you feel very happy and satisfied, and it looks like your home life is pretty stable and just feels very good and very peaceful and very fulfilling. Now, the Ten of Cups is paired with the Nine of Pentacles. Pentacles, the element being that of earth, and Pentacles is a suit that represents typically the tangible things in our worldly environment, like money, finances, resources, property, assets. It can point to our job as well. And the Nine of Pentacles is about a woman. It represents a woman who has worked very hard to achieve the abundance and the wealth and the comfort of the things that she has around her. It depicts a woman who's dressed in a beautiful gown and it appears she's in her garden. She is enjoying the fruits of her labor, the wealth around her. There's a bush with beautiful pentacles growing on it, and she's holding up what appears to be a parrot or a peacock parrot. Um, and she's just in a place where she's enjoying her wealth. This is a woman who is independent, although that doesn't necessarily mean that you're alone. This is a woman who is independent, and if you are alone, you're quite comfortable in that position. This is also an individual who has worked very hard to now be enjoying the fruits of her labors, the things that are around her that make her feel abundant and wealthy or just in a very comfortable place. The interesting thing about this individual is that this is not a person who has had anything handed to them. This is someone who has worked very hard for everything that they're now enjoying, and everything that they've gotten has been through dint of their own hard work and by virtue of their own talent and their own labor. Nothing has been handed to this person. And I think that paired with the Ten of Cups, this speaks to you, at least in your physical world and your tangible comforts, that you find yourself in January just feeling very satisfied and happy and abundant, in and feeling very accomplished and self-confident and self-assured in that, whether you're alone or with someone else, because you've worked hard to get it. This particular combination can also speak, and this may resonate for some of you Cancerians watching this, this can also speak of this combination of an actual move, a shift in your environment. It can represent travel, a short-term trip or vacation that actually you find to be more beneficial to you than you thought in ways that you didn't anticipate. This can represent an actual move. I actually think for some of you this is going to actually represent a physical relocation to a new home or a new apartment or a new living situation that's going to make you feel very rooted, very stable, and very abundant and happy. So however that resonates for those Cancerians watching this. But it's just a lovely combination to have, and I get a very comfortable, happy feeling looking at it. Now, in the third week of the month, we have the Hierophant, a major arcana card, paired with the Queen of Pentacles. It's an interesting combination to have, and it speaks very much of being rooted in tradition and stability. And but I think it's going to play out could play out a couple of different ways. The Hierophant is a major arcana card, and the Hierophant, the artwork in this particular deck depicts what appears to be a priest or a bishop or someone of that sort standing in front of a beautiful, beautiful cathedral window. The Hierophant it can actually speak of an actual church or a religious or an organized institution, a religious institution, a large body of people belonging to a large group of people, very organized, very structured. This card speaks of convention, it speaks of tradition, it speaks of a sense of continuity, solidarity, and of belonging, of going with the flow, and of belonging to an organized group of like-minded individuals. Now, it's paired with the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles is it's kind of interesting because I see her very similar to the Nine of Pentacles, just a bit of a jump up. This is a woman or a man who is queens, like the kings, having reached the mastery of their suit. And the Queen of Pentacles in particular has reached a point in her life, like with the woman in the Nine of Pentacles. This is someone who has worked long and hard or has walked either alone or with someone else on a road of working very hard and investing a lot of effort and care and nurturing into gaining the things that she has in her life right now. She's a woman who's dressed in a beautiful gown and robe. She's holding a big, beautiful pentacle in her hand. There's a large, beautiful peacock behind her, and I often see the peacock depicted in cards and in pictures that represent abundance and luxury. So I often see it as a symbol of decadence or luxury or physical, tangible abundance. And this is a woman this is a very nurturing individual. This is a very female provider kind of energy. The Queen of Pentacles speaks of being very nurturing. Pentacles being an earth sign, you can almost see her as kind of a Mother Earth sort of person. Very wise, very loving. She rules with a wise but very compassionate sort of way. Now, paired with the Hierophant, this could speak in a few different ways. In relationships, this could be a rather beautiful relationship that's very conventional, whose love has no, there's no doubt to this love or the fidelity or commitment that this individual has, like the Hierophant has to the Queen of Pentacles, or the Queen of Pentacles has to the Hierophant. It can speak of a traditional marriage, a conventional relationship. And also paired together, it can speak of, and I think this is probably going to be resonate to more than half of those of you watching. It speaks of committing your all or devoting your all to a faith, to a particular belief system, to something you feel very strongly about, that you, a way of life, a life path that you've chosen, devoting your all to an ideal or a way of thinking or an actual faith. And one would hope that that is recognized and returned in kind. It speaks of devoting and committing yourself to a way of life that makes you feel very rooted, and gives you a sense of solidarity and belonging. And for some of you, this is going to be an actual individual in your life, whether female or male, that very much exhibits these traits. It could be your spouse, your particular mate or partner, a loved one, or a best friend, that somewhere, perhaps from the beginning of the month, where you're ending December or beginning January with feeling like you're a bit trapped in a way of thinking or a thought pattern that's keeping you stymied or keeping you blocked from something. You're being called to act on something. You're being called to take your own blindfold off and make a decision and um, foster a sense of movement in your life, which leads you to being in a place where you feel very grounded, very happy, very peaceful and abundant with where you are, not only with your physical resources and tangible assets, but just in your general well-being. And this could represent an actual person that is a very significant part of your life that helps make you feel this way, someone who's very nurturing, someone who's helping you or taking care of you in some way. So I think that could play out a variety of different ways for a variety of different Cancerians watching this. I kind of feel like I'm telling 2 or 3 different stories for 2 or 3 different groups of people. So however it resonates for those of you out there. Now, in the last week of the month, we have the Ace of Cups reversed, followed by the Two of Wands. Now, Cups again being the suit of emotions. In the upright, the Ace of Cups represents a new beginning in love or a new beginning in emotionality, a gift of love coming to you rather unexpectedly in a beautiful and joyous sort of way. Aces do represent new beginnings. They represent seeds. It's a beautiful card to have, but you have to also remember that aces represent beginnings, the seeds. They still have to be planted and nurtured and taken care of. In the reverse, I'm not getting really an all that negative feeling from it being reversed. I get the feeling of delays, that a new beginning is something, a new beginning that you're wanting in something is somehow delayed. It's coming, but it's delayed for a bit. Now this is paired with the Two of Wands. Wands again being the suit that represent change, action, movement, power, the elements being fire and air, a lot of movement. And this card speaks of being in a place where you're being called to make a decision about something, to walk down a certain path. And again, I'm kind of getting a connection back to the first combination of cards, the Eight of Swords and the Knight of Wands, entering the month being kind of caught up and held hostage by your thoughts, which is preventing you from taking action, from movement of some kind, from moving on something. I feel like it's an opportunity that's been presented to you to do something different than what you're doing right now. The Two of Wands represents that. It represents a man who's standing at a crossroads and he's looking down 2 different paths and he's unsure which one to take because from his vantage point, they both look fairly similar. They're both going off in the same direction. The destination of either one is not visible from his vantage point. He knows he's being called to make a decision to actually begin to move his feet down one particular path or the other, but he's not sure where to go. However, in this card, as opposed to some of the other decision cards or choice cards in the Tarot deck, this man is not blindfolded. He is looking and he is gauging and he is trying to figure out where it is he needs to go. Two is also being the card of duality and balance and of needing to make a decision between one thing or the other. And I think paired with the Ace of Cups, for some of you, this is going to represent what I'm getting as I look at this combination of cards is, I think for some of you, a large portion of you, this is going to represent wanting to have a new beginning in a relationship, a new beginning either with a new relationship or with an already existing relationship. There's some kind of new beginning that you want, or a new beginning that is being delayed because a decision has not been made on something. You're being faced with a choice of walking down one path or another, and this may represent a new beginning within an already existing relationship, a change, a shift of some kind, or the starting of a new relationship is actually delayed because you're in a place where you're stuck in not knowing which path to walk down, some kind of decision to make. Um, this could also play out for job or finance or careers, although that actually looks quite good for you, that whatever this new beginning that's desired or that's coming has been delayed for a time until this decision is made, some kind of decision. And again, I'm getting that the close of the month is corresponding with the beginning of the month. You're entering the month in a state of indecision because you feel kind of trapped by a way of thinking, and perhaps it's a way of thinking of how you're, of the particular path that you're walking down, and perhaps these cards in the middle of the month that speak of being grounded and rooted and stability and having a sense of continuity with the Ten of Cups, the Happy Home card, and the Hierophant, which speaks of tradition and convention and going with the flow and being in an established pattern, and that's where you're getting your comfort and your security and your feeling of reassurance and abundance from. Perhaps for some of you, and I feel this is going to resonate for some of you, you have the opportunity, something is being presented to you for you to do something different, which is going to mean a reshuffling of what you've been doing and may shake up this solid foundation that's the reason for your feeling of continuity and abundance, and you're kind of stuck in a place where you're not sure whether it's the right path to walk down on or not, that you're comfortable or you've been comfortable where you are, but you're being called to move somehow. You're being called to make a decision on something, and I think in the beginning of the month it begins that way, and in the middle of the month you're kind of considering where you are and whether or not you want to risk or have a change to something you already feel is very stable and rooted. But at the end of the month, something is being delayed, perhaps something that you want or something that you're dreaming about, a new beginning in some area of your life, some area of your emotional atmosphere, whether it's an actual relationship with another individual, a new career path, or an entrepreneurial sort of business, because your general, these two groupings in the middle that speak of feeling secure and reassured and abundant and comfortable because you've worked long and hard to get there and you're enjoying the fruits of your labors. They're very independent, self-assured cards and individuals in the middle here. But they also are cards that point towards sometimes being alone in that, being comfortable and being comfortable and not feeling in self-doubt because you're alone. So perhaps what it is, perhaps what's being offered to you, Cancer, is in fact a new relationship, which is going to change what your day-to-day life and what your life looks like, and perhaps it's also going to represent an actual physical move too, because again, I'm getting the sense of a physical move or physical relocation for some of you. But at the end of the month, it's still delayed because there's a choice or a decision that needs to be made. Now, the interesting thing is that the overall theme of the month was the Lover's card, which is a major arcana card, and I do feel like for some of you, maybe even a large portion of you, this is going to be representative of an actual relationship. And perhaps I'm not seeing any cards that would point towards the reminiscent or nostalgia of somebody, a previous relationship coming back, although it could be reflecting that way for some of you. But the Lover's card is a major arcana card which represent a beautiful, passionate, loving union, but almost a divine sort of union as I look at this card. It shows a couple who are embracing in the water. They are, there's different elements here. We have the sun and the moon and the sky. There's a light shining down and it's connecting them to the water as well. You can see dolphins in the background. This speaks of a coming together of a union, that's blessed by the divine, that's that's been brought together by the powers that be, God, Spirit, the universe, your angels, whatever your spiritual structure is. And it speaks of a union that transcends just the physical manifestation of chemistry and, oh, I like you, you like me too. This speaks of um, something almost divine, almost holy, or certainly blessed by the universe. Um, that's something that includes all the elemental security to make a union like this last through eternity. This is speaks of true love and of passion and a union that just it goes beyond just physical attraction, physical chemistry, and comfort level. This is it's a beautiful card to have, and I think that for some of you, and since it's the overall theme card, I feel like probably for a lot of you, this is going to represent being presented with the opportunity to have a new beginning in a relationship that's going to shake up your currently comfortable, quiet, peaceful life as you know it. And perhaps you're being held hostage by fears from experiences you've had in the past, or if this is a relationship you've had before that ended that's coming back in, perhaps there's some fear of the past repeating itself. But you're being called to ask on this, and I think January looks like it's going to be a pretty reflective month for you. And you're going to be going through a period of decision making, and it looks like you're going to be ending the month probably still within that kind of consideration and reflective phase. But whatever it is that you're hoping to happen, maybe hoping and fearing both will happen, looks like it's going to be delayed just a little bit until this decision to walk down one path or the other is decided upon. So Cancer, what an interesting reading. It's not entirely clear to me. Again, I just get the feeling I'm reading 2 or 3 different stories for 2 or 3 different groups of people. So it's probably going to resonate differently for different one of you Cancerians out there watching. So it'll be interesting to see how this continues to play out for you in the month of February, because it doesn't look like anything's actually, that any actual movement's going to be occurring until then. Although forewarned is forearmed, and if this has given you any wisdom or insight or clarity, you certainly can take action and move on this before the end of the month, your life being in your own hands, of course. But what an interesting decision to be made. For those of you who are in this decision-making process of some kind, what I can tell you is that I don't see any, the cards are not pointing specifically to any negative outcomes, or that the decision either way would be good or bad, which kind of still leaves it in your hand. At the end of the month, this Two of Wands represents two paths that look very similar to each other. But I'm not seeing anything that speaks to either great success or great failure. So it looks like the lesson for you is going to be also in the decision-making process and how that works out. So Cancer, I hope this reading resonated with you. If it hasn't, I suggest you also check your rising and your moon sign as well. I thank you for watching this video. And again, if you would like a private consultation, just click on the About button on my channel's homepage, and it will give you further detail on myself, the services I offer, and my contact information, which is, or you can email me at maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. So I look forward to seeing you next month, and I hope that you have a beautiful beginning to the beautiful new year of 2016. And as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. Bye, Cancer.